Good morning, everybody, and welcome to TheoTRADE Chat. It's Don Kaufman here. It is Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. Spoos are off some 23 handles this morning. I mean, it's a lot of Apple. There's sell side across the board. The one scary portion of this morning, Nvidia, still has a bid under it. It's come off quite substantially from some of the overnight highs, but that to me is rather scary. We're also already exceeding the daily expected move, not by much, but the daily expected move is about 21 bucks. We'll come back to that after the cash open because I think that that could become really a pivotal area. The other aspect that is, I think, worth mentioning to some degree, volatility, it's bid, but it's still like there's no real push into the volatility world just yet. And I'm looking at the volatility futures. I mean, look, the spoos are down 20 some handles and 23 handles, and Nasdaq is off by 0.7%. There's just no price action though. That's raging in here, not by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, to further confirm that, look at volume with me. Volume in the S&P futures, I mean, kind of looks like almost any other day, 200,000, 214,000 contracts. It doesn't even like catch your attention to like you get over 250,000 contracts. I mean, look, it's heavier than you've seen in previous trading sessions this week, but yeah, the volume doesn't do that much. Again, there's not a lot of people like freaking out at this point. Nothing really going on. We're just down. Again, Apple is one of the most pivotal stocks, of course, in the sell side activity. Apple, some rough news coming out of China. We'll talk more about that after the cash open, but that happens to be impeding upon a number of the big tech stocks. But take a look, like Microsoft, for example, this was getting whacked quite a bit earlier. It already has a bid back under it. Microsoft has a bid back under it. Again, Apple is actually towards the lows. There's nothing going on Amazon. Google is down. Also some news there. You're looking at a mild move inside of Meta. Tesla, nobody likes me anymore. Tesla's definitely taken a hit. And as I was saying, probably the most disturbing, I think, aspect of this is the Nvidia is just not playing a role. This is going to be kind of wild into the cash open. Now, there is one huge player on the screen, and it's the bond market. And saving the best for last, the bonds are absolutely on fire right now to the upside. It's like they see something, they know something. This is the single biggest bid we've seen coming into a trading session in quite some time. Even after economic news and so forth, doesn't matter. This is the biggest bid we've seen at this point in the morning in a very long time. So 0.6 ticks, definitely something up in the bonds. All right. Battle is going to be played out very early on today, and that battle is going to be played out specifically in some of the monsters of tech. So you're going to see an advanced decline line that's negative, but it's going to be between Microsoft and Nvidia that could catch a bid here in early trade. Let's come to today's open. As I was saying, negative advanced decline line, but not horrendous by any stretch of the imagination. Ticks will actually be pretty good to the downside here, which you will see momentarily. So here come the ticks. There you go, about negative 600. That's not even nearly as bad as I would have anticipated. I was looking for between 800, maybe 1,000 in terms of the negative tick. So again, kind of off to the races here. So Microsoft, that bid is being sold into immediately. The big player in the room, though, again today is going to be unequivocally Nvidia. I mean, you're starting to inflict maybe a little bit of damage into the S&Ps. Again, you can't get excited about 0.4% when every single day you've been up, 0.5%, 1%. But you start to inflict, there's real damage inflicted unequivocally into Apple. There's been no sell side activity whatsoever inside of Nvidia. And it's critical because they just keep rushing it like they're doing right this second. There is call buying going on once again inside of Nvidia. I definitely have my reservations, though, about what this is going to look like in just a few minutes. I suggest to you to be very careful inside of both NASDAQ and S&Ps today, because, I mean, when you look at it, constructively, you're like, the S&Ps are down. They're nothing, okay, until Nvidia actually makes that move. And if that move is to the downside, you double this loss in minutes. You can see the S&P is down 40, 50 handles in minutes. You're riding right now. Like Nvidia is actually kind of, saving the day a little bit. Did yesterday as well. So we'll look at that a bit more in a few minutes. Again, there is absolutely call buyers coming in once again, outpacing any call selling. Again, they're just trading them at the ask or above. It's as clear as day how many call buyers are coming in here. Now, there's not enough size to impact, though. This is not enough size to impact Nvidia, but it's going to be well worth watching. As I said, if this drops, another $2 or $3, Nasdaq all of a sudden is facing, a 200-point loss. Look at it right now. As I'm saying it, Nvidia is down $2 and the Nasdaq is extending losses. And of course, you can point your finger all you want to Apple. No, Apple has a bid from this morning. Point the fingers at Microsoft. Well, Microsoft, yeah, it is slipping back to where it was in the overnight lows. But this is it's a Nvidia kind of world. And look, I don't like to have to discuss like one individual stock, okay? But it's that pivotal right now, not just to the upside, but the real pivotal nature of Nvidia is only going to be felt when it starts seeing sell side activity. One of the things that's, I think, pretty alarming is last week I was talking about a critical level right in the 770 handle. Look where we are, 840 and change. By the way, here we are. Nvidia is down $6, and I'm telling you, that 200-point loss is almost there inside of Nasdaq. I have the opportunity here to see some Nasdaq, some real, the marketplace will really start to open up on an intraday basis. It's again, it's going to be a matter of how hard are they going to come for this stock, and when's it going to stop. So there's just, again, there's still arguments about bubble, no bubble. Look, outside of the argument of bubble, no bubble, because I really don't want to have that argument. I think most people kind of know where I stand. The bottom line is this stock has got to come in at some point. It's got to come in big. And come in means down. It's got to come down. It's got to come down big. I'm not going to sit here and try to handicap what we're going to look like 2 or 3 months from now. Okay. But I have no problem in saying a run like this, you need to have a pullback. Okay. Coming in is a pullback. And that pullback, when it happens, is going to be vicious. It's going to shake a lot of people up. It's going to shake a lot of people out of this marketplace. And I would say that that first target, at least in my mind, will be somewhere right down here. Okay, I'm still pretty much hell bent on that whole, 770 level. That does not necessarily construe that it has to happen in one day, but ironically, you're only 1, 2, 3. This is 3 days away from what I was talking about, that 770. Let's get crazy. Let's call it 4 trading days away from that 770 level. Okay. It's again, it's critical though that we kind of have that understanding of how influential one stock is going to be. And that's okay. That's something we're going to watch, obviously, very, very carefully in today's trading session, because it, for the first time in quite some time, looks like it's starting to come in a little bit here. Moreover, take a look. The number of calls being sold starting to pick up. It's the put buying that would really start to rock this market, which is, there's no question, like that just has not occurred in here yet. You'll see this, the number of total puts trading in here start to explode. All right, so it is also notable, we are already through today's expected move. So we're going to cruise to the SPX for just a moment and kind of get some orientation of where we are. All right. When I say orientation of where we are, like obviously each week I come in here, I talk a little bit about expected move, because it's to me a little bit of futility to try to handicap. We can look at the MACD, we look at RSI, okay, but the truth be told, to handicap anything, you got to look at what the marketplace is anticipating, because in light of whatever we might believe, there are okay, hundreds of billions of dollars, in some weeks, trillions of dollars, literally, okay, basically being wagered on either side of this expected move. And that's why it's so critical. It's not just a, pie in the sky number. So when we look at plus or minus, it's $64. That's for the entire week, right? That's for the week. Where are we right now? We're a little bit more right now than halfway home to the lower edge of expected move. All right, but that's again, it's a weekly expected move. It's also notable, if you're kind of curious, where is the lower edge of the expected move? Just in case things do get crazy today, you have 30 handles to the lower edge of expected move. It's about 50.73. Okay, just to again to quantify this light, like this line right here, is about 50.73. 50.73. All right, furball. Okay. So you're about 50.73 to the lower edge of expected move. That's exactly 30 handles. Now, also fairly important here. Okay, there's also an SPX, okay, daily expected move. And the SPX daily expected move today is plus or minus 21.31. Obviously, we're already through that. That is why I'm actually spending moments talking about this 7 minutes into a trading day. I'm spending a few minutes talking about it because it starts to make the day a little bit more pivotal when you've already cracked through it. All of a sudden, you have to start to worry when we've cracked through it, like no one gives a beep about where we go at that point. I often say this, like once you start cracking through like standard deviations, there's no longer like women and children first. It's every man, woman, and child for themselves. Speaking of every man, woman, and child for themselves, they just won't quit in Nvidia. But it's up 0.3%. Man, you got to step back from this for a second and just realize, okay, in effect, what you're seeing. The S&Ps are down 0.5%, okay? But the most influential stock is basically flat on the day. This should be a very, very scary warning shot that the Nasdaq can be down 1%, Nvidia is flat. Clearly, okay, Apple is having a larger effect. Okay, there's no question that Tesla, by the way, this thing's getting a crap kicked out of it yesterday, today. It's ugly. I think it was down about almost 8% yesterday. Well, another 3% today. Well, it's 11% amongst friends, right? And it's right facing that 180 level. But we're finally starting to see even stocks like Amazon, which kept that bid most of yesterday. That's actually been coming off here a little bit. I know it's headed towards its lower edge of expected move. Microsoft right now is the most surprising, basically hitting the lower edge of expected move. So there's a huge amount of market cap right now leaning on things, and we're only down 1%. And that's why I have some reservations and some pretty deep concerns right now. Again, in no uncertain terms, I don't necessarily believe, oh, this is going to be the day in Nvidia. It doesn't have to be the day, but I will tell you, when that day comes, the Nasdaq's down easily 2 or 3%. When a marketplace is reliant upon one individual product, you have problems, big freaking problems. And when you're seeing sell side activity like this across the board, okay, it's interesting to see Google try to bid back up. When you're seeing sell side activity like this across the board, okay, kind of gets everybody in the mood, if you will, for selling. Speaking of in the mood, the advanced decline line has actually gotten better this morning. And moreover, check this out, the ticks this morning. Take a look at ticks. Ticks have improved to only -20. Okay, I'm going to be crystal freaking clear. Right now, I'd pay no attention to ticks and I'd pay no attention to the advanced decline line. Lately I have said that, but I don't say it, okay, all that often, inside of one breath. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't pay attention to this and I wouldn't pay attention to ticks right now. Why? Look what is down, okay? And what is down is the heavyweights in here. All right, all the heavyweights are down other than, one stock, which is that one stock is keeping the Nasdaq only down 1%. All right, but there's a good sized bid under Nvidia. Moreover, I can see the bid in the financials. So right now, well, once again, we're trying to do a capital rotation. It looks like we're selling big tech, maybe buying a little bit of financials. I just don't think this is going to hold up. I think the financials are going to roll over. Moreover, I think that the energy sector is probably going to roll with it. Okay. You could be in a very, very interesting marketplace here in the next few minutes. So let this kind of play out. But again, I suggest to you that you got to keep your head in the game a little bit today. Moreover, we do have, whoops, swing and a miss, no sorting. Moreover, we do have some economic news that's about to hit the tape here in a few minutes. Let's cruise over here. Swing and a miss. We're going to cruise over here. You have PMI composite that's going to hit the marketplace 7:45, which is 7:45 my time, and then factory orders in exactly 18 minutes. ISM services. So there's the factory orders that could actually move markets. Remember though what I've kind of stated lately, and that is individual stocks like Nvidia seem to mean more right now than economic news. So make sure we have a little alarm set over here. Okay, set the alarm. All right, we got one set for 7:44. Create another alarm over here. Whoops, swing and a miss. I am just all over the place today. Here we go. All right, so we set the alarms for, obviously some economic data that's going to be coming out. Nasdaq now is actually cresting into session lows. So there's no real surprise here. We are starting to look like what Corey would construe as a bit of a trend down day. That's why I said pay no attention to the advanced decline line. And quite frankly, the ticks, not only are they positive, they've picked up considerably. There's just, look, how do you offset, okay, the weight of Microsoft being down almost 2%? How do you offset that? You just don't. Apple, okay, down 2%. Right there, it's almost $6 trillion of market capitalization that's down, okay? I'm going to be frank in saying it's freaking amazing that we're only down 1% at this point. All you got to do is just push a little Nvidia right off the edge of the cliff, okay? People get in that like risk off kind of scenario. They get it in their heads. The sell side grips hold, okay? You're going to see some days that NASDAQ could be down 700-800 points easily in a situation like this. But there is just no appetite for Microsoft this morning. Now, before I get too deep into looking at those products, again, I would like to reiterate, you're just not seeing volatility rage by any stretch of the imagination, okay? There's no question that volatility, it's bid in the last couple of sessions, right? Just a little bit here. There's a hint of volatility in the air, but with sell side activity starting to hit big tech, the sell side activity that you're seeing is just in big tech. There's incredible pockets of strength, financials. There's incredible pockets of strength, okay, inside of energy. So energy has been on a fairly significant bid. The financials, okay, a wild bid to the upside. Even some of the consumer staples. We'll talk about Target in a few minutes because I've got my reservations on that one. But we're still playing this rotation game. We saw yesterday that volatility was bid through and through. That basically means it was like 9-day vol, 3-month vol. Okay, here comes that that first news, if you will, that's coming out today. We'll go take a quick glance, obviously, as the news breaks. Oh yeah, there's not a lot on this one. Okay, it's the factory orders that I think more people are going to be paying attention to. Factory orders, ISM services, but the PMI composite, not exactly rocking markets. Nevertheless, as I was saying, there's still pockets of strength in this marketplace, significant, such that nobody's hitting the sell side across the board, right? Selling, to me, doesn't grip hold until it's not selective. And I want to make that really clear, okay? When I say that selling, across the board, when you see an advanced decline line, like we do right now, which is a 50-50 AD line, okay, there's no selling across the board. Like nothing is grip hold. In fact, the advanced decline line has been gaining all morning long. Okay, I wouldn't necessarily be buying into that just yet. There's no, again, panic across the board, a full flush to the marketplace. And in my opinion, that if you're going to see the marketplace sell off, which, all right, whatever, today it's down 0.5%, a sell off is not going to look like this. Okay. 51.11. The sell off's not going to look like this. A sell off would actually look like no holds barred approach. Obviously, there'd be smashing Nvidia. Okay. You're not going to have selective selling. So if you're excited about seeing, red on the screen, great. Don't get too excited until you actually see across the board. You have to see sell side activity with absolutely look, when markets are in a little bit of a free for all, there's no discrimination whatsoever. You sell everything across the board. No one cares. The only thing that can, sometimes be up is stuff like earnings, which, target, which I'm going to go talk about here momentarily. So we're kind of waiting, obviously, for more data to come out, which is really going to set the tone of this marketplace. All right. So you're seeing a pretty wild bid right now inside of the energy sector, and the bid continues inside of the financials. So this is a huge rotation because look, we're smashing right now. Nasdaq, you're down over 200 handles in Nasdaq. Remember when we started this morning, okay, which was a whole 17 minutes ago, the Nasdaq was 100 handles higher, and said look, based on what we're seeing over here, easily, even if Nvidia is flat, see the Nasdaq down 200, and we do see the Nasdaq now down 200. Okay, the threat still looms. Okay, Nvidia starts to play into the sell side activity. You have a Nasdaq easily down. I mean, if it really starts to play into sell side activity, like Nvidia is down 2 or 3%, Nasdaq drops 400 to 500 today. That's how significant, though, this one player is going to be in this room today. I mean, everybody gets it, but which we have not seen yet. First of all, the number of calls being bought is now equal to the number of calls being sold. So that's pretty much negated. What we have not seen is real put buyers start to rush the market. So as I said, keep your head in the game over here. This could get a little bit more wild in a hurry. All right, let's back away from there for a second, talk about some individual stocks. And then, of course, we're going to go look at a few positions. Boy, Wells Fargo, what a difference a couple of days makes in there. How can they still be buying this crap? I mean, I'm actually really rather bothered by rotating into financials. Why am I bothered by rotating into financials? Anybody know? Okay, doesn't have to do with overbought, oversold. Specifically today, what bothers me about buying financials. Okay, see if anybody picks up on that one. This is the at-home game. Why would I be bothered about buying financials on a day like today? All right, nobody's responding. That's because you're, like 10, 15 seconds delayed. But the reason I'm bothered by them buying financials, okay, you do realize the bonds are wildly bid, okay? You do realize, and I don't care about any individual financial, this buying financials, okay? It's a rotation. No one gives a damn, okay? No one gives a damn. This is a capital rotation because there's no warm, fuzzy place to go to right now. This is why it's such a dangerous marketplace at this point, okay? There's only one reason, the bonds are up. If you don't see that the bonds are up, okay? So you go, why would you buy financials? Exactly, why would you buy financials? Look at interest rates today. That's rates today. That crap is getting hammered. Interest rates are getting hammered. Is that good for banks? No. Well, thank you very much. Let's buy them. Now, this is going to be bought until it's not. This, I think, is actually going to spin around and hurt the advanced decline line in the morning. So watch this today because it's a rotation where money is just looking for a home right now. So there's definitely still some money out there, and everybody feels, all right, so we got a little out of control inside of tech. Let's rotate towards the financials. But the problem is the financials, okay, they're pretty full. You want to buy that? Okay. And I'm not trying to be, facetious. You want to buy that? We just moved, 20, 25%, okay, in no time at all. And that's just not, something you want to force capital into at this point. Boy, there's a lot of risk out here, a lot of risk, because we're already also buying bonds. And if you're buying bonds, this could actually be buying bonds for a defensive play. You don't know what it's going to look like here a few hours from now, but why are they buying bonds? Are they buying bonds? I think interest rates. I don't think this has anything to do with interest rates. I think they're buying bonds because they're selling tech. You sell tech, you buy bonds. Okay, a little bit of duck and cover right now. You could see a situation here later today where the bonds could be up 2 points. Nvidia could be down, 30 or 40, maybe even 50 points. That would be quite serious. And it's serious when they're buying like energy because no one was wanting to touch energy. Look, just bring up like a 5 year. Okay, no one's wanted to touch this thing. Everything else is incrementally higher, significantly higher. No, not energy. You could bring up the max chart in energy. What has energy done? Nothing. For how long? Yeah, you're back like almost 15 years at there, and energy's done nothing. But there is a bid under energy this morning again because it's like this capital rotation. Anyway, by the way, Dawn was asking. She was asking about hedging account. There's an entire subsection under the videos there under how to hedge. Depends on like exactly what you want to do, but there's an entire subsection of classes and so forth all about hedging. So, and the easiest hedge, okay, be forthright, sell a 30-year position off. Okay, why not? And you can't go sell at least a third, if not a half. Okay, half in, half right. But whenever you have indecision, whack it at minimum a third of the position. That's the easiest hedge going. And that's one that everybody wants to, I think, leave themselves all the upside potential in the world. But hedging doesn't do that. Hedging actually clips a little bit of the upside to mitigate the downside. So here we go. This is getting a little bit more serious right now. We just broke off like this 5111. And 5111, it actually has meant something here. So there's also an alarming amount of contract size this morning. Look at it. I will say that again. There is an alarming amount of contract size trading through the S&Ps. You have not seen that in any of the recent trading sessions. So people, there is heavy activity in the first 20, 25 minutes of trade this morning. Again, Nvidia just continues to waffle back and forth. All right. Yeah, mark my words, that thing is not going to end up unchanged today. And that's actually, again, that's biggest concern in this room should be, you see Nasdaq already down 220 points. The first feeling I think that people get that are in positions in Nvidia, okay, they're probably saying to themselves at this point, this freaking thing is invincible. That's the wrong thought right now. The right thought is, oh crap, everything else is down. Okay, if they're coming for us, how are we going to actually reduce our risk? There is no easy way in Nvidia to reduce. Excuse me. There's no easy way to reduce downside risk because the premiums are through the roof. As we mentioned yesterday, if we didn't mention this enough, volatility inside of Nvidia, okay, swung up huge yesterday. By the way, this is actually looking at an implied volatility range. Implied volatility took off really big in the last 2 days. It is extraordinary, though, to see implied volatility. Let me just show you this. It's extraordinary to see implied volatility take off to the upside with upward momentum in a marketplace. That is just like an absolute, fever pitch kind of situation where, the stock actually rallies from, we'll call it 790 to almost 880 yesterday, and volatility explodes higher at the exact same time. This may not look like much, it's huge. I mean, this is the kind of move in volatility that you start to see prior to earnings. So it's a dangerous, implication for an overcooked turkey. Markets at this point appear to be waiting for, those factory orders, and we'll see what that data is going to bring. Caterpillar, I don't think has had a down day yet. It is wildly bid, flat so far on this week, but I would need a pretty substantiated pullback inside of Caterpillar, pull out a trade, but I've got 17 days left. It's still in the wheelhouse, but I got 17 days left. When I say it's still in the wheelhouse, let me clarify. We're trading 337. It's about a $16 expected move. So 337 minus 16 ironically takes us right into our wheelhouse, which is about 320. It's going to be close, people. It's going to be close, but we're seeing wild moves. What's not to say that eventually, we move the opposite. Moreover, if you take a look at Caterpillar, as I was not joking when I said there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Today would be the first down day. But the day is young and there's plenty of time to buy it. Back over to Microsoft. Microsoft is starting now to exceed its lower edge of expected move. Apple, once again, it's a full-blown 2 standard deviation move. Amazon. Amazon has not played any role in sell-side activity as of late. Today is the first time we've actually seen Amazon impeded at all. It's down about 1%. Google. Google has had the proverbial crap beaten out of it in the last, week of trade. Continues to see some sell-side activity today, albeit mild. Meta is another one whereby Meta did reverse yesterday, okay, but Meta has not participated at all in any sell-side activity, okay. It is actually being sold to some degree today, but we're still a far cry away from the lower edge of its expected move. The reason I'm actually going through some of these monsters, you have news coming out, you have sell-side activity across the board, you got to get some orientation. Why? Because if they're going to start coming for the marketplace, you got to assume, all right, Microsoft has already had beaten up pretty badly. Apple, no question. Okay. They've brutalized it. Amazon, this thing's got room to run to the downside. Okay. Google, I don't think you can make an argument that Google is, not oversold right now. It is oversold. Okay. Meta, they would come for. So when I say they come for it, you got to understand if selling starts to get like, they do not discriminate, they will come in here and actually hit Meta harder. Okay. Percentage basis and moves and expected moves, absolutely critical in sell side activity. Moreover, if you take a look at Tesla's in the midst of a full-blown 2 deviation move at this point. And of course, Nvidia. Nvidia is literally on the upper edge of its expected move. And that would clearly be a big player, in today's trade if we start to see some bigger momentum. All right, back down to Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo still have an in-out spread here. It's a relatively new in-out spread in Wells Fargo. There's 23 days. Look, we're still right where we want to be. This thing has over a $3 expected move. It's trading 56 and change. We need it maybe 54. We're fine in here. Like this one though, I have to tell you, I'm rather surprised. Okay. I mean, take a look at the auto expected moves. Why I put the trade on? Sheer extreme movement. That's 3 weeks in a row. Okay. This would actually be the 4th week in a row we're hitting or exceeding the upper edge of expected move. So it is madness inside of Wells Fargo. And far be it for me to say this, but I don't think anybody can find any real reason, okay, that markets are buying Wells Fargo other than the idea that everything else is already full. Okay, so we're going to come into a fairly significant news announcement. Volume is gone. Look at this. Okay, everybody disappeared. The volume totally disappeared, and right now, no one wants to take risk. The lower the volume, often the more significant the move that's coming. So hands and feet inside of the vehicle at all times. Again, you're about to get a pretty decent move inside of markets. And again, I could care less about the factory orders. I could care less, about some of the actual numbers, the ISM numbers that come out. It's just a mere catalyst. So we'll see how this one actually goes. Okay, bonds are exploding right now to the upside. It's a big mover on the screen. S&Ps, okay, are lighting up the screen, but be careful with this. The bonds look more defensive than anything. So ISM numbers come out weaker than expected. Significant though, durable goods in here, which is your factory orders. Okay. We missed here. Wow, there's a ton of them. So they're really soft in some cases, really soft. Factory orders over here, okay, minus 3.6%, minus 2.9% expected. These things are way off. Some horrendous numbers, really horrendous numbers. Interesting. This is going to be even more interesting. You see how the marketplace reacts to this. The bond market, as I was saying, is in full freak out mode to the upside. Okay, be careful because this bonds, they're defensive. This morning, I said they could be defensive in posture, meaning that we might be buying bonds because we're getting ready to sell S&Ps. So your first instinct over here is like, no, they're buying S&Ps. We'll see. We'll see actually how this is going to play out in the next few minutes. This is trend worthy. Meanwhile, the Russell is almost positive on the day, but some really big rotations going on in this marketplace right now. So yeah, the dollar, okay, demolished in a few mere seconds. The dollar has not been a big player at all today. It's been rather flat, nothing going on, but a huge hit into that. Again, I'm really suspect though of the S&Ps at this point, right? Ticks have actually picked up. The advanced decline line is substantially better. It's 60 advancers in here. It's amazing that you're seeing like, look, markets be down this much with these kind of market internals. The advanced decline line is better. The ticks are actually much better. Okay. I still suspect though that we're not going to be able to claw our way out of this hole. Okay. Meaning that we'll roll back over at some point here in the next few minutes. So I would actually look specifically for that for markets to possibly roll back over in the next few minutes. All right. We'll keep an eye on that as the morning goes on. But the S&Ps right now, they're right back to where we actually opened the trading session. This is the expected move of the day is 21 bucks. Okay, let's start to talk a little bit about some of the positions we've got on and kind of continue forward from there. So actually, before I do that, excuse me, I wanted to cover a couple of numbers. I know obviously everybody's looking at Apple. Big news on Apple. Their sales in China not going well. They're down 24%, yada, yada, yada. No one cares. It's pretty evident that we cracked through this 180, which I talked about last Wednesday. So less than a week ago, I was talking about cracking the 180. We cracked it. Said we'd go into a free for all. We did. The next obvious, okay, obvious number on the screen is somewhere down here, like 166, 168, somewhere in that neighborhood. I mean, again, I just don't think that that number nearly is as pivotal as having cracked that 180. That 180 actually sent us into a little bit of a tailspin. But Apple, coming into the mid 160s would be serious at that point, really serious. So again, I'm watching the S&Ps out of the corner of my eye here, which have a huge bid under them. At the exact same time, though, I'll be frank in saying, again, I don't care that they just rallied 10 handles. I still see Microsoft coming off. Okay. I see Apple has a bid under it. That bid's gone. Okay. Amazon, it doesn't seem like it can get out of its own way. Okay. Meta over here, there's nothing going on. These tech stocks are going to weigh this thing back down and possibly roll the whole marketplace back over. What you have in the last couple of moments is a little bit of momentum, though, from the financials, which, again, the financials right now are cheering what? Lower interest rates, which makes no sense. So this is one where you're going to have to be really careful. So anyway, there was news on Apple, okay, yada, 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 move on. Okay, AMD, I wanted to get through some of the news stuff today. AMD, there was news on AMD, okay? It's not really impeding, though, much upon AMD. And I'm paying attention to this because the market's not. The news on AMD had to do with also China and sales of a chip. Okay. There was a chip that AMD built specifically for China. Apparently the chip is too good and they're not going to be able to sell it in China. Nevertheless, okay, the market is not paying attention to it. Why am I commenting on it? When you stop paying attention, okay, to real, okay, bottom line fundamental data, at that point you have concerns. I mean, no different inside of Nvidia right now, but there's more signs of it. Here's another one, and this is possibly my favorite of the day. My favorite of the day, Target. Okay, does anybody know what's going on inside of Target? Well, it's earnings. Okay, there's an earnings announcement that came out in Target. Now, if you read the earnings announcement, I'm just going to lay this one on the line for you. Okay, you can go and you can read the earnings announcement. Target, okay, made more money, more profit, okay, on crap that they sold. And the market loved it. The expected move inside of Target was about $11, almost 12 bucks. Actual move, 18. Okay, you with me? So why do I sound so, what's wrong with Target? I'm going to show you exactly what's wrong with Target. Target sucks. Target, okay, again, their margins improved, okay, and they improved considerably. But let's go to the favorite story over here. Target's annual revenue declined for the first time in 7 years as the retailer struggled to entice shoppers. Okay, so yes, they made more money on crap they sold, but it's their first decline in revenue in 7 years. Anyway, okay, that's awesome. Nobody's coming into the store and buying expensive stuff. That is awesome. We should totally buy that. Pay attention to this crap. Okay. Because if you don't, you're not seeing what's really going on in markets. When you stop, okay, paying attention to real, okay, fundamental data, eventually it catches up with the marketplace. And by the way, I am in no uncertain terms. I'm not into fundamentals. Okay. I think fundamentals they're out the window right now. That's exactly what I'm trying to point out. There's no fundamental to this. We made more money with less people coming in. It's the first time that revenue was actually declined. By the way, here come the S&Ps, as I suspected. Okay. Interesting though how the bonds are coming back down too. This thing could get serious today. Anyway, did I ruin that one for you? Okay. Did I ruin it for you? Because when you have less people coming to the store and buying crap, and the ticket items are actually going down, it's that's a real buy. Maybe being a little facetious with that one, but don't worry, Caterpillar cannot have a down day ever. All right. Predominantly because a bunch of politicians own this stock. Right there. That's what makes me want to short it. It really does. Okay. Onward to a couple of positions in here, unless there's some questions. Questions, comments, anything? I don't really want your comments, but your questions are are suitable. Okay. I saw a question pop in earlier about a catapult. Okay. Inside of the catapult, there's no question Apple has deviated from what the S&Ps have. It's not a problem. I'm on it. Okay. I'm going to roll the S&Ps. Okay. And put on new catapult with the credit from the roll. I'm intentionally going to roll for credit in the S&Ps. I did that yesterday in the catapult small. So I had a catapult small where the S&Ps were beating me up a little bit because the S&Ps went up. Okay. Apple did not. So we had a break, obviously, in that correlation. Not a problem. Okay. I'm on it. I am on it. So we'll be okay. We'll be just fine with that one. The fact of the matter is, again, well, now we're actually really taking off to the downside here. So there it is. Nvidia, it decided to go down. It had 3 down minutes. 3 down minutes, and we're at lows of the trading session. Things got a little crazy, a little violent. By the way, 10 minutes ago, I said to you after that data came out, look for this thing to roll over. I don't give a damn about these market internals. They're not right. Okay. And I don't mean they're not right. They're right. Obviously, the advanced decline line is correct and the ticks are correct. They flipped over and gone negative now. It's just, there's just too much market cap weighing on us right now. And this kind of market cap starts to weigh on you, it's only a matter of time before they cave. Look, you have the first day where truly the Nasdaq, when I say like days, oh, it'd be down 250 points. 250 points has already happened. Okay. Now it's just a matter of time. Like, are we going to have one of these 600-700 point moves inside of the NQ? A reminder to you that yesterday I went through the expected moves specifically inside of Nasdaq to point out how Nasdaq, okay, has not only been holding up well. The scary thing inside of the Nasdaq, we haven't had any like wicked moves really at all outside of deviations here, not since the beginning of the year, which we cracked to the low side, cracked to the upside. But this thing has actually been just skirting along upper and lower edges of expected moves for quite some time. So keep the hands and feet inside of the vehicle. The $6 move inside of the Qs is really big for the day. Again, to reiterate, this is going into the weekend, just to show you end of the week. Okay, obviously end of the week is it March 8th? Is it March 8th? Okay, yeah, it is March 8th. Wow, this is the time gone. The entire week was only looking for like a $7.70 expected move. We're already moving $6 today. So we're really starting to threaten the broader marketplace. Moreover, if you look at the expected move here, the Qs are at their lower edge of expected move. So we're starting to get some significance in the expected move. You start to crack through this, okay, and things are going to get interesting in a hurry. And again, that's the way today. It's it's suited up. It's just if Nvidia is going to go or not. Okay, and there's things you can control in a marketplace. There's things you can see, but you can't control what this product's going to do. You can only sit back. You're a passenger at this point in a marketplace that looks like it wants to take a hit, but Nvidia continues to hold things together. All right, positions. Obviously, no change right now. The only thing I have in the TheoTRADE large portfolio, okay, is a short, okay, is a short call. That's a 50-50 call. It is not pretty, okay? In fact, it is pretty ugly. What I am trying to do, and I was talking about this, the updates. So for those of you that are a little newer to this, and the TheoTRADE large and TheoTRADE small updates come out on a Friday, and last Friday I was talking about burn me another 13 days out of this thing and we're gold. I don't even care if the market, like, it doesn't even have to move down, but if you can burn another 13 days, I can actually push this thing further out. The same is true of the TheoTHETA small. I want to show you, okay, what that looks like though. Like, I want to take a minute because this is a position that's unequivocally, it is heavily underwater, okay? Eventually, I'm going to buy this thing back. It's $187, right? I'll push it. In this case, let's get crazy. Let's go 136 days out. 136 days out. And I want to show you because I can push this thing right now $100 further, okay, out of the money. It's not going to let me actually bring them both up for actually a big credit. So it's almost a $15, $17 credit at this point. And I would be pushing it 100, maybe even $150 out of the money. If we sold off a little bit more, I'll be able to push this thing $150 out of the money. Okay. There's one thing, and again, I got to reiterate this. I don't have anything in terms of like needing the market now to go down. If we stagnated, okay, went down, went up, went down, but if we stagnate, if we're trading, okay, in and around the 5,100 marker a month from now, the S&P position is going to mature quite in our favor. The only thing that we need is, let's just say this, not to continue to go straight up. We need some two-sided trade. I'm not asking for a lot for two-sided trade, but we're at that point right now where we need some two-sided trade, in the marketplace today. We're getting it, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's a 30-handle move in a marketplace that's literally been up since here, the beginning of the year, the lows from the beginning of the year, trading, let's call it 47.50. It's a straight shot to 51.50. Okay, there's been just, it's been absolutely relentless. Okay, is this what markets look like all the time? No, but whatever the markets throw at you, you deal with it. You deal with it. We're dealing with it. Okay, my concern isn't some sell side activity. My concern is turning back around and seeing if a bid back, comes back into this marketplace later this week. There's only one thing that would really change my feelings about this marketplace, and that would actually be volatility starting to take off. Okay, and for the first time, specifically today, all right, vol is at highs right now. Volatility would really have to take off, okay, and then the fear and loathing starts in this marketplace. Okay, for that to transpire though, again, sell side activity has to start to be, indiscriminate. You just start hitting stuff across the board. Nvidia though has to play a role in the selling. Okay, not only is Nvidia barely moved down today or any other recent day, all right, it's up. Forget about the earnings. Okay, Nvidia from the 770 level that I marked last week, the stock was straight up and a $100 move again to the upside, which is, as I keep reiterating, again, I don't think people realize how dangerous this is. You're in a situation right now where the Nasdaq is down 1.5%, and the biggest player in the room, okay, hasn't really even started to participate. If you don't see, okay, how damaging this can be, we got to wake you up, because this is not about you being bullish or bearish. This is about a marketplace that's down, turning into an absolute crap fest in seconds if Nvidia starts to go for it to the downside. And there's no sign that Nvidia is going for it to the downside, but it's the only thing I mean, literally the only thing, okay, between us and starting to sink into the abyss, where the Nasdaq's easily down 500 and can continue to go from there. The trade inside of Nvidia, I continue to look at the options marketplace here. The options marketplace, okay, is not heated here. It is very, very constrained this morning. We're only doing about 300,000 contracts. For those of you that know, about a half an hour into trade yesterday, we were clear up to 550,000 contracts. Contract size in here is light and fluffy. So no one is rushing this marketplace to buy puts. If you see this number, this is traded at the ask or above, and I want to be incredibly detailed about this. If you see that number start to pick up today, crap's going to hit the fan. That's when, and by the way, this number would be picking up as the stock was actually going down. So that number is probably the most critical on the entire screen right now, outside of the price action itself in there. And again, that number starts to pick up, and the exact same forces that have been driving Nvidia higher, then going to be driving it lower. We have not seen any of that. The number of puts trading is still way below the number of calls trading. That's put call ratio crap. I could care less about the put call ratio. What I care about, is just sheer magnitude of put volume through it. And it's nothing going on. Okay, onward. So questions, comments? I was looking for anything about the portfolios or so forth. Kind of stuck in the middle with you, and I am looking to place a couple more trades in the days to come. But I'm letting this thing open up a little bit. Okay, I think my frustration at this point isn't so much the positions. The frustration is just watching the market. Okay, and the attempt to sell off here. Let's see if it actually works this time around. Speaking of this time around, the ticks still haven't picked up to the downside, and the advanced decline line, ironically, has actually improved in the last 10 minutes. So I keep bringing up the advanced decline line, in respect to the fact that it just raises, if you will, for me, the danger of a trading session like this. You have a positive advanced decline line. The SPOOs are basically off 0.7%. The Nasdaq's off 1.5%. Positive advanced decline line, ticks have not even played a role yet. The way I see this, what you got to be concerned about, you have a marketplace that is clearly, in an overheated situation. Like we could talk about like RSI, and I know Jeff Bierman will bring it up. Okay, actually, Jeff brought up to me this morning the RSI inside of Costco. Okay, which, speaking of which, Costco looks like it's actually flipped around a little bit here, but nevertheless, he was bringing up the RSI and Costco and so forth. I get it. Like I totally get it. By the way, I don't even feel like not going to bring it up right now. There's no need to. I think people get it. You're in a marketplace that's clearly an overheated situation. Okay, market's actually down 0.7%. The advanced decline line is positive. Okay, if this thing starts to go for it, it's going to be an ugly day, right? And, we're marking time here before we have an ugly day, and this is definitely the makings or the beginning of one. If you start to see financials turn negative on the day, that advanced decline line gets crushed. With it would then come the energy sector. This is the way I look at this. Plain and simple. There's 57 other things that you can sell today. So the selling could start to proliferate well beyond big tech. But right now there is no appetite for tech, and we got a situation on our hands as Nvidia now is really starting to see some selling. Contracts, I should say, the share size just now starting to pick up in here, but it's not extreme. We've all seen 500,000, 600,000, even 700,000 trade in 1 minute. So the number of shares trading per minute is not all that extreme, which implies, if anything, it implies the marketplace is just kind of sinking slowly. We're not going for it and not getting crazy just yet, but that could be right around the corner. Okay, again, I can't believe how badly they're beating Tesla. Okay, this thing is just getting hammered right now. This is a pretty critical level for Tesla. It hit the 180 that I was talking about just a few minutes ago. So it's getting more interesting out there. All right, let's go look around the marketplace a little bit more. See Intel taking a little bit of a hit. There's no love there. What I'm actually looking at specifically right now is individual financials. Okay, look at this. JP Morgan still highs. Okay, Wells Fargo highs. People, they're still buying banks. Still buying banks. They're still trying to rotate capital over here. There's not sell side activity across the board. And again, I'm not just bothered by it. I'm rather concerned. That's not not what you want to see in this kind of a marketplace. The way I know I have some puts that are fairly close to being closed in here. I'm going to leave that one alone. Wells Fargo, Caterpillar. Yeah, Caterpillar obviously is taking a little bit of a hit because I can see my Caterpillar trade coming back quite a bit. Not a whole hell of a lot else going on. I have an opportunity in the catapult portfolios to roll a couple things. I'm probably going to take that chance today. The Ultima Theo Theta, for those of you who don't know, Ultima Theo Theta portfolio. Okay, this is a portfolio margin account. The sell side activity is actually going to produce a pretty damn good place to roll some of the 510s, maybe even these 475s. Those suckers are deep in the money. Okay, the amount of risk we're taking in here is still acceptable. Okay, that's directional risk. I could leave these 455s alone. We've really dropped quite considerably inside of the queue. So those 455s are looking pretty damn good right now. So what a difference a day can make in a trading session here. And we're not even an hour into it. I have to tell you though, I'm not too enthusiastic just yet. I would suggest that we may actually bounce and kind of moderate for a while. Okay, Nvidia just kind of hanging out at this point, and that's going to be at this point like, look, everything else is already hit across the board. Wouldn't worry too much about them. It's Nvidia now. That's the concern. And then if Nvidia starts to sell off, it's going to start to pull things like financials in. Everything is coming in if Nvidia goes today. That is going to be the most interesting thing on the screen in a while. Kenman was saying joined CAT this morning, different strikes based on implied volatility. Yeah, different strikes, different timing. That's fine. All right. Got nothing else over here? James E was asking, is selling premium with a negative skew, okay, on a call spread advisable? So James E, let me get something straight over here. Are you looking at selling a call spread in something like Nvidia? If you're looking at selling a call spread, James E, in something like Nvidia, it's tough to do in an inverted implied volatility skew because the option you're selling has a lower implied volatility than the option you're buying. So it's tough to do. That's what I would, and again, I'm not sure that's exactly what you're asking in here, but it sounds kind of like it. All right. Can I comment on the dilemma, okay, of Mariano versus Jamesy? Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Oh, Apple. I don't think Apple has much of an inverted skew. Let's go look. If you're like looking to sell a call spread here, it's mild. It's really, really mild. I have to tell you this. The very fact that there's any inversion in skew though in Apple is alarming at this point because the stock has had 2 days that is just freaking ugly. I mean, ugly in here. Look how far we are from there. How in the hell is there still a little bit of skew left in this thing is beyond me. I mean, that's not healthy to see this skew still, like they're still saying risk is kind of the upside, but then the downside is skewed as well. Boy, that's a funky option chain. By the way, S&Ps, here we go. Things are getting, again, this personally didn't expect this early on. Okay. As I said, Nvidia is gonna sit there on pins and needles all day. Okay. But if Nvidia sells off, mark my words, it's going to take everything with it. If Nvidia sells off, it's going to take the whole market right apart with it. The advanced decline line will start coming down. I mean, it is shocking to see this much damage can be inflicted with 50-50 advanced decline line. Again, it's not just alarming, that's a bit of a wake-up call. 50 other things to sell. Of course, you sit there and think, wow, it would only be down 80. Doesn't include the fact that what hasn't sold yet, it's down 1%, a big 1% sell-off inside of Nvidia, okay? And the SPOs are down like 43 handles. Not healthy at all. But put like a 5% sell-off in here and tell me what the Nasdaq's going to look like. Okay, it's almost difficult to even fathom how far it could move. You'd be down like 700 or 800 points in a day with that, because the incremental gains of Nasdaq, I mean, they're coming from Nvidia. The incremental gains are also coming from Meta. And Meta, it's playing a role today, but it's only down 1.7%. I say only. Like, look, told you earlier what would take the hit. If we're going to get hit, what's going to take the hit? We mentioned specifically Meta. We also talked a lot about Amazon, and Amazon was actually kind of outperforming. Okay, Google's been taken to the woodshed a couple of times, but Amazon, obviously Meta, and Nvidia are the pivotal stocks in here. And Microsoft has now officially crossed through the lower edge of its expected move. Look, today there's a lot of days you come in here, you're like, you want to trade, you want to make something happen. I'll be honest with you. Sit back and let this actually play. Sit back and let it play. If you got positions on, phenomenal. Great. If your positions are actually starting to mature favorably, wonderful. I wouldn't necessarily step out and try to handicap what this is going to look like at the end of the day, because I'm going to be honest with you. We've already exceeded the expected move of the day by double. So we're at 2 sigma move on the day. For 0 DTE people, they're getting ripped apart if they haven't already closed their position, right? The next thing you got to start thinking about in the SPX, we're getting close, okay? A lot closer than we anticipated. This, okay, is now an open door in my opinion, meaning that 5073 to the SPX, okay, is definitely in play. We are only a hop, skip, and a jump away from seeing that push into the 5073. It doesn't necessarily have to happen early in the trading session. We might go for it late in the day, okay? Again, I am very frank in saying I'm surprised by some of the volatility that we're actually seeing. You'll recall, okay, 28 minutes ago was right here, okay, where we actually had like durable goods and factory orders. The market was only down 18. We're now down 40. We've really matured considerably to the downside and kind of starting to crack things open a little bit. Nevertheless, okay, that lower edge of an expected move is definitely in play today. Moreover, keep an eye on volatility. The volatility, we're at highs right now. I mean, I know you see the markets kind of moderating here, but the volatility is still pretty much sitting at highs. The vol hasn't really gone for it yet, though, to the upside. Like you have a VIX, like, oh, hurt me, it's at 14. Okay. It's, opening up its eye, but it hasn't actually gotten up and moved just yet. The financials, okay, they got to take a hit for this marketplace to really start to mature to the downside. Okay. And you're thinking, Nvidia alone can do it. I would agree. But if Nvidia takes a hit, okay, it's going to crack the marketplace wide open, and we're going to see sell side activity through and through. Just be mindful of this, because again, the situation is such that you have a really good advanced decline line. The ticks in the marketplace are positive, and the SPOs are actually down some 40 handles. Okay, it's a pretty serious situation overall. I mean, sure, we could bounce here a little bit, but I would say, like, that 5073, that thing is well within sight. So keep that kind of in the back of your mind. Anyway, with that, I'm going to bring on Jeff Bierman. By the way, I'm also sit here throughout the course of most of this morning, this trading session. I'm not going anywhere right now because, again, a lot more price action has played than I would have anticipated at this point today, and I cannot stress that enough. Nvidia, it has been mild to the downside. No one is quote unquote going for it inside of Nvidia just yet, but it's a pretty fluid situation. This thing looks like it could come apart a bit more. And I want to rest your whole trading day, on one underlying. You have to. I mean, it's not like I want to, but you have to rest your trading day on what this underlying is going to look like. I just noticed The put activity is starting to pick up in here. That is alarming. The number of total puts trading, though, again, not going for it just yet, but the number of puts traded at the ask or above is starting to pick up. So be mindful of it, because if the crap's going to hit the fan, they're going to buy puts into it and actually force the product down into a dynamic hedge. So Jeff Bierman is coming on here momentarily. He's talking about the buck stops here, factors driving the U.S. dollar. Well, speaking of a U.S. dollar, and Jeff, that's getting all kinds of crazy today too. It's good stuff. Anyway, I'm going to be here, and if things do get crazy, maybe a little interruption. Okay, I'll tell you what. If we're going to bring me back on today, I will text out, meaning that I'll text everybody and tell them like I'm coming back on. Okay, I'm just going to let this thing play today. I'm just going to be very forthright, not closing anything, just sitting here. Let it, one day of sell side activity isn't exactly going to make my entire year, all better, but sure as hell isn't hurting right now. With that, stay tuned. We are at lows of the trading session as I am coming off here. Jeff Bierman's coming on right now again, doing more damage than I had thought early on. Here we go. This is what I mean, people. Now we're starting to go. Okay, that's getting interesting. There's some size trading in Nvidia. I'll stay in here and I'll chat into the chat room throughout the course of this morning while answering a couple of emails. Jeff Bierman is coming on right now.